Hey guys, what is up? Hope you're having a fantastic day so far, and I am here with an unexpected video, but the first episode of Season 5 of Steven Universe Stuck Together has been released on the Cartoon Network app, so I'm going to do an unscripted review here and just kind of go through the episode. So just be warned that if you have not yet seen Stuck Together, there will be spoilers in here, but you can watch the episode on either Cartoon Network's website or on the Cartoon Network app, so I recommend that you go do that now, so that way you don't get spoiled for anything. But with that, let's get on with the review. So we start off directly where I Am My Mom left off. So we have Steven in the ship with Topaz and Aquamarine, and Steven's kind of playing up that he is rose quartz and that he likes shattering gems and diamonds. And then we get Aquamarine saying that, oh, if you think shattering's bad, wait until the diamonds get you. And so this is interesting because we know that the next episode is called The Trial. So I'm wondering if that whatever Aquamarine is referring to here, something that's worse than being shattered, is going to come into effect in the trial, because I'm assuming that the trial is Steven in front of a judge, or possibly the diamonds themselves, and being put on trial for his mother's crimes, since he now has the rose quartz gem. And maybe, I was thinking maybe it's corruption. Corruption could be considered worse than being shattered. So I'm wondering if Steven, is found guilty of Rose's crimes, if he's going to be sentenced to being corrupt instead of shattered or something like that. So I'm really curious if this is going to come into play in a future episode here. But then the other Topaz comes up with Lars, so it's revealed that Lars never got off the ship. If you think back to I Am My Mom, Lars didn't help Sadie, and then he basically just booked it and hid from the fight and all the other gems that were on the ship. So he has now been found by Topaz, so Topaz brings him back up, and so they don't really know what to do with him. Aquamarine just says that it's up to the diamonds in terms of what they're going to do with Lars. And then once Steven sees that Lars is on the ship, he wants to call off the deal with Aquamarine, and then Aquamarine, of course, doesn't care. She makes a reference to her gem. She says that she's crying. She's like, oh wait, no, that's just my gem. And I think this is just so great. I mean, she's just such a sassy little water fairy gem, and I hope that she never gets redeemed. I hope she never changes. I just want her to be just like this mean, awful little water fairy gem just for the entire show, because it's just great. Just love to hate her. And then basically from here, Topaz just fuses again, so that way, they have Steven and Lars contained, and so Aquamarine goes off and just, I don't know what Aquamarine's doing, quite honestly. She just kind of flies up and sits like on this little chair that's floating in the middle of the ship, and it looks like Topaz is actually the one who controls and pilots the ship. So they take off, and then Lars and Steven are stuck inside Topaz while she is piloting the ship, and the two are just kind of going back and forth, and then Lars kind of admits to himself that he made a mistake not helping Sadie and running and hiding on the ship, and what a bad idea that was, is to hide on a ship when you're trying to get away from the crazy alien gems that are trying to kidnap everybody and take them to a human zoo. So he kind of has this moment of realization here that that was not a good move on his part, and then he also feels bad for not helping Sadie and how he always runs away. And then we actually get confirmation here that he did run away from the potluck, so he got to the house, throughout the ube cake, and then when he was running back home, I'm assuming, is when he got kidnapped by Topaz and Aquamarine. And then the ship starts experiencing engine failures, so Aquamarine orders Topaz to go down to the lower level of the ship and to access the engine and fix whatever is going on. So if we look here, we actually see that the engine is similar to the one in Jasper and Peridot's ship that they came on in The Return, so it's kind of cool just to see that this is what the engine is, and it's cool to see like the continuity. So Steven notices the destabilizers, and he tries to make a plan where Lars is gonna lasso one of the destabilizers with Steven's pants, and yeah, that doesn't go very well considering how far away the destabilizers are, and basically they just kind of get into an argument, and then Lars just throws the pants at the destabilizers, but this leads to having a nice little heart-to-heart moment where Lars admits that he is always scared. He doesn't really do anything. Everybody else is kind of always doing stuff for him, and everybody else is being brave and helping each other, and he's not that. He just thinks that he's just stupid and scared all the time. But Steven goes, you know, I'm scared right now too, and he says that he's sorry that he doesn't know how to get Lars out of this situation. And for the first time, Lars is actually, you know, kind of looking on the brighter side of things, saying that, you know, we're like 5 billion light years away, so we'll figure something out, right? And Steven kind of notes this, like, wow, you're looking on the bright side of things once. He's like, no, I just want you to be honest with me, just admit how much this sucks. And then Lars is like, yeah, no, this is pretty messed up. And then Steven kind of admits, he's like, you know, even though that's my fault that you're on this ship, I'm glad that you're here because I don't want to be alone. And, you know, they both kind of share this nice little moment with each other, both just laughing and smiling, that they're kind of in this together. Some like really nice development here with Steven and Lars, especially after the good Lars. You know, there was a nice little moment here, but I think this is probably the best moment of Lars developing so far in the series, I would say. We never really see Lars be nice to Steven, so it's nice to see him like actually get along with Steven and kind of, you know, acknowledge that they're on the same team and that they're in this together. And then while they're talking, we finally get to hear Topaz talk, and I actually really like what they did with their voice, because I think it would have been really easy to like go the Jasper route where they had a deeper voice, but it's actually not like that deep of a voice. It's actually a very like sweet, cute voice, and Topaz is crying because she likes how Steven and Lars were able to have like a heart-to-heart, have like an open conversation about what they're feeling and just like letting them know that they're there for each other. And Topaz feels bad because she can't let, you know, Topaz can't let Topaz know that, you know, she's there for her, because they're always fused, but there's someone always in between them, which I think is such like an interesting line to say, because basically this is Topaz's purpose, I guess, is to fuse, to take hostages or just criminals, people that the Diamonds want, you know, and go on these missions and just take people, and this is what they do with them. What's happening to Lars and Steven, and, you know, she says that she pretends to be okay with it even though she's really not, so she just kind of puts up with it. But because the conversation that Steven and Lars had is kind of what she hopes to get one day with Topaz and Topaz, she wants to help them try to escape. So Topaz is just a big cinnamon roll, basically, and she's just adorable. So she tries to get Steven and Lars out. So she tries to get an escape pod for them to leave in. And this, unfortunately, does not go well because Steven tells Lars to get in the pod, but Lars is trying to convince Steven to come with. And then Aquamarine comes down and catches Topaz trying to help Steven and Lars escape. And obviously Aquamarine does not take this well, even though Topaz tries to explain the situation, just saying how touching of a moment it was when Steven and Lars, you know, talked out their feelings and everything that's going on. And then Aquamarine smashes the pod, and then Topaz gets pretty aggressive here. She actually pins Aquamarine up against the engine and has the destabilizer in her hand, and, you know, basically threatens to, I guess, poof Aquamarine, or at least, you know, break up her form, but she would just have her gem. And so Aquamarine's like, you know, do you really want to do that? Because you're going to get to Homeworld and you're going to just have my gem in your hand, and yeah, the diamonds are going to probably shatter you if you do that. So Topaz backs off, she drops the destabilizer, and then Aquamarine says something very interesting here. She says, this is the problem with you fusions. You always get sentimental. So, I mean, you know, fusion is, at least on Homeworld, is always between the same gems. So I find it interesting that, like, fusion, if there's actually something, like, even if it's with the same gems or different gems, like, some sort of connection. And, you know, we know that fusion is basically a metaphor for relationships. But the fact that Aquamarine acknowledges that fusions, I guess, who stay fused for long enough, begin to get more sentimental and emotional, which I think is very interesting and really cool, quite honestly, because that means that, you know, there's probably other Topazes out there that are probably in a very similar situation as this Topaz. And, you know, if this Topaz was willing to help Steven and Lars out, you know, I'm curious if we're going to be recruiting some topazes in the future. So definitely something that we should keep in mind when it comes to other fusions that we might meet while on Homeworld. And then Aquamarine basically just says, you know, hey, unfuse, and then we'll just kind of forget this ever happened. I won't tell the diamonds, you know, that you almost destabilized me, that you almost poofed me. So Topaz does what she's told, and so they get off the ship, and like the ship now is green. Before it was like blue. The triangle part was blue before, and now it's green, and they're in a like this green bowl type thing. You can see that there's space outside of it, so I'm curious as to like what structure this is. I mean, my initial guess is yellow diamond just because it's predominantly yellow, but I mean, it could also just be blue, because we know from the Return of the ship that Jasper, Peridot, and Lapis were on was green. I'm wondering if it was green because you had a gem that was from, you know, blue diamond, that being Lapis, and then 2 gems of yellow diamond, Peridot and Jasper. So I'm wondering if that's why like the ship changed colors, and so now it's like you have Aquamarine, which is a blue diamond, and then you have the topazes, which are yellow diamonds. So I'm wondering if like that changes the color here, at least when it comes to the ship. But just the overall area, like I'm wondering if this is a shared area for the diamonds, blue and yellow diamond. But the topazes take Lars and Steven, and unfortunately they are not listening to Steven and what he's saying. It seems like that kind of moment has passed. But then they split up. They take Lars and Steven to separate areas of whatever building or structure this is, and then that is where the episode ends. So a bit of a cliffhanger there in terms of what happens, but like I said, we know the next episode is called The Trial. So I believe that Steven's probably going to go to the, you know, trial, whether it's in like some sort of courtroom or something like that, or if he's just brought in front of the diamonds. And then Lars might be getting ready to go to the zoo, possibly. This might just kind of be like an outpost or something like that. But yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if more episodes started coming out a little bit earlier. I think Cartoon Network is trying to beat the leaks, basically. They want to try and get these out on, you know, officially licensed Cartoon Network apps before, you know, or like if it airs on TV, because I mean they aired this before the Steven bomb even ended, so I think they're just trying to beat the leaks, because leaks always usually like happen like probably a day or so before they actually air officially on cable. So I wouldn't be surprised if more episodes started coming out on the app, so keep your eyes out for that. But let me know what you guys thought of Stuck Together, because I would love to hear it. But thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more Steven Universe related content, and until next time guys, take care.